Welcome to a behind-the-scenes look at the video production here on SirAndroidTV. So let's quickly run through what all these things are. A dual monitor setup, a 5x1 HDMI switch, a 1x2 HDMI splitter, an Elgato Game Capture HD, an AverMedia Live Gamer Portable, my mixer, my condenser microphone, my crappy keyboard and my crappy speakers, my mouse, and well, okay, the Retron 5, in case I want to play, I don't know, some old cards like Pokemon Pinball, Ruby Sapphire Edition. And so now let's work through how all these things, well, work together. So, the 5x1 HDMI switch. Everything that I want to capture runs through that switch. So, it connected to the switch is my PS4, my Wii U, my Retron 5, my PC, which comes out of my my video card by HDMI, of course, and my PlayStation TV, because, hey, I love the Vita. So, hey, no shame about that. I love the Vita. PlayStation Vita is one of my favorite systems of all time, even though it's kind of sad. So, with this switch, as you can see, now I have the Elgato software, and I know that sounds kind of complicated why I would have an Elgato and an AverMedia both in the same chain, and I can explain that coming up. So, I have the Elgato Game Capture HD software open up here. Again, what you're seeing right here is the capture of what's happening here. So now let's pick up the PS4 controller right there and let's turn it on. I can't tell if you heard the beep or not, but the PS4 made the beep saying that, oops, I hit my desk here. The PS4 made the beep saying that it turned on, so I have my PS4 on input number 4. So let's hit number 4, because that's how I maintain consistency. PS4 number 4. Oh, HDMI, you are a wonderful thing. You are a wonderful, beautiful thing, giving me that green screen instead of black. HDMI is a really funny thing. That doesn't happen all that often, but it happens often enough. Oh, I hate you, HDMI, so badly. But you switch back and forth between the inputs, you hope the HDMI does the re-handshaking, and there you have it, it's working again. I hate HDMI, but HDMI is useful because it is a simple one cable solution that we all have to adapt to moving into the future, even though it gets kind of crummy. So, the Elgato Game Capture software, as you can see right here, again, mirrors everything that happens on the screen. So I can flip through here, and it's a few seconds behind. So I can... The thing that's really helpful, one really helpful thing with the Elgato software, I can do this timeline scumming thingy here, as you can see right here as I pull it back and forth, and it reflects there. So, you know how the PS4 is always recording its last 15 minutes? It's always recording the last 15 minutes. You hit the share button, and it's capturing the last 15. So, this Elgato Game Capture, for me, will record the last 2 hours and 15 minutes as long as I leave the software running. I don't actually have to hit record. It's always going to be recording in the background. But, so now the reason I have the Elgato and the AverMedia is because... Well, I know that I could have gotten the Elgato. Elgato has their HD 60 that captures at 1080p, 60 frames a second, and AverMedia has their capture solution, their external box that captures at 1080p, 60 frames a second as well. But my setup here, this whole daisy chaining weirdness of HDMI and whatnot, predates those two devices, where the issue... So I had the Elgato first, and the issue with the Elgato, as nice as this software is, the issue with the Elgato is that it will only capture what you put into it. Meaning that, so let's explain this part first. It can only capture at 1080p 30 frames a second, or 720p 60 frames per second. I mean, there are smaller resolutions or whatnot, but in terms of HD, it's either going to be 1080p 30 frames a second, or 720p 60 frames per second. But the issue with that is, as I said, it only captures what you put into it. Meaning that if I want to capture at 720p 60 frames per second, because I want to capture 60 frames per second gameplay, I have to set the PS4 to output at 720p 60 frames per second, meaning that I would be playing a game at 720p 60 instead of 1080 60 if a game I'm playing is at 1080 60. That's kind of bad. So That's why I have the AverMedia. So the Elgato is really good for capturing at 1080p 30 frames a second. Some games do that. Uncharted 4 does that. I believe Uncharted 4 does that. Bloodborne does that. But the AverMedia is great for capturing 720p 60 frames a second while maintaining my 1080p 60 frames a second here while I'm playing the game. That's why I have the solution. So if I'm capturing at 1080p 30, I have the Elgato, and if I want to capture at 60 frames a second, so at 720, while keeping the same my original resolution and frame rate, then I use the AverMedia to capture. And it's really that simple. Again, well, I mean, it sounds complicated, but that's really the reason why. And I could now forego all of this and just get an Elgato HD60, but that would cost then even more money. And this is already kind of a somewhat expensive setup, so I don't want to keep adding more money. This does the bare minimum of what I need it to do, so that's fine. So this mixer does not take in the audio from the gameplay. So it is an HDMI monitor. And because HDMI carries audio, DVI doesn't, but HDMI does. I do audio out of the monitor directly into the speakers, and I do that instead of going into the mixer because I speak into this microphone that goes into the mixer. And if the gameplay audio is going into the mixer and my voice audio is going into the mixer, that means the gameplay audio and my voice audio are both the same track when they get recorded, and that stops me from being able to do my audio balancing in editing. So let's say that, hey, the gameplay audio was accidentally slightly, too loud to hear me speak. But my voice is already encoded in the gameplay audio. I can't balance them out. And therefore, the entire capture is ruined. But so the way I have it set up is that, I keep my voice audio separate from the gameplay audio, so that I can then turn down the gameplay audio a bit, turn up my voice audio a bit, and therefore everything becomes balanced and you hear my voice perfectly over the sound of the gameplay while still hearing the sound of the gameplay properly. That's why these headphones are important, so that I can listen carefully and make sure that I have that balancing correct. These headphones are Audio-Technica M50Xs. They're studio monitor headphones, and that's why I have them, because they help me to do things like that. This condenser microphone is also a directional microphone. And what that means is I can speak over here, but then I can speak over here, and my voice is kind of muted when you hear me back here. But then you can hear me clearly back here or in front of here. Directional microphone. The reason for that is because this speaker is right here, going directly into this microphone. And the issue with that is, well, again, as I said, I don't want the game audio to mix with my voice audio. So, directional microphone blocks out things that happen back here. Keeps it separate in case I don't want to game with my headphones. Because another way to get around that is, well, you'll see a lot of YouTubers gaming with their headphones on. It's because of that. Like, that is a key reason why that happens. Why you'll see that. Well, at least for ones that understand that aspect of it. And so, let's get into this mixer really quickly. This mixer, again, this microphone is an MXL990. This mixer is a Behringer Xenix 1202FX. And it has my microphone 1, microphone 2, as you can see here, mic 2, right here with mic 2 settings, mic 3, my guitar, 2 1/4-inch audio out of the mixer into my PC, and then 2 1/4-inch out of my PC into, stereo out of the PC into 2 1/4 inches here into the mixer. So the audio is always being passed back and forth between this mixer and my PC. And then I have 2 1/4 inches out here, just extra, in case I want to hook my phone up to it and listen to some podcasts. If I get home and I listen to a podcast and I didn't finish listening to it, I can hook it up to my mixer and then keep listening to it through the open speakers. And that's about it. Thank you for watching. That's the behind the scenes of SirAndroidTV, the production. As you can also see behind me, this weird green piece of paper. That's a green screen because I've been messing around with some chroma keying to mess around with some really dumb ideas that I have for the near future of this channel. So check that out. Thank you for checking this out, and I'll see you next time.